Alright, welcome back to the Friday Open Studio design session. I apologize for those of you who were on the last stream. It got interrupted again because YouTube decided to crash on me. So we're starting over, and I'm still going to go up until, whenever I stop, which is, I started at 5:30 and it goes for 2 hours and 10 minutes. So 7:40-ish, that's kind of when I'm going to stop. So this stream, unfortunately, won't be 2 hours, 10 minutes because of YouTube's incompetence. So we're just gonna keep on going where we left off, and I'll try and update you guys on kind of what we did in that last stream. So last week we finished up kind of lofting, the bulkheads for the canopy. They're covered up now because I was live streaming before and the app crashed, but there were vertical pieces that kind of went perpendicular to the aircraft axis, and we did all of those. We finished off those last time, and then we lofted panels up until this point. And this rear panel here is what we assembled in the beginning of that last attempt at a live stream. So right now, the canopy structure is pretty much done, except we're just trying to really smooth out some of these wrinkles here. And we're doing that by creating a template first, which I was working on before the app decided to crash. So, let's get right into that. I'm gonna create a template to cover up the side portion here, right, to really give it that canopy profile, if you will. And then we're gonna create, one single piece that covers all of this, and then we're gonna create side panels here, separate side panels to really give it that clean canopy look. So the top will still have some seams, but that's a little bit more acceptable than these seams that are pretty obvious right now. So we left off here where I was trying to make the template. I think the way I'm going to approach it is I'm going to really make a deep mark here, or a darker mark, and feel free, this is an open studio design session, so feel free to work on your own projects in the meantime. And I apologize, but that is the nature of YouTube. It's just unreliable, and sometimes it decides to crash, and I can't do anything about it. So, all right. So this looks okay. I'm just going to tape on this forward portion here. Okay, and then it ends here. On the bottom here, we can trace out the contour of the nose base. Okay. And then we can also kind of trace out this portion here. Right. So I can cut out a little bit more. So it looks like we cut out too much. So this is really a matter of trial and error. You don't really know it's gonna work until you try a bunch of things, but we're just really trying to cover up this area, which is proving to be a little bit difficult. I think I might try a different approach where I use a smaller template and try and get really close in and try and see the line. It's gonna be kind of hard. This isn't exactly tracing paper, right? If it were tracing paper, it would be easier to see through. Actually, that's all we need. We need something that we can see through. Here, let me do this. This is gonna be an interesting new idea. I'm gonna try taping this. And extracting this shape. Via tape. Okay. That's interesting. And then if I put this tape down. Okay, right, so something like that. Trace out that shape that we need. I don't know if this is gonna work. This is just a test, really. But if we just extend that shape out. Now we're cutting tape and paper at the same time. We only need half, we don't need the whole thing. Let's see if this fits better. Yeah, this is a much closer fit. All right, and then this back portion here needs to be a little steeper to cover up that location. But this is good. This is a start. Definitely need a little bit more scrap to experiment the template with. This is pretty close. All right, so how are we gonna work this out? Curvature is very subtle. So we need to give it a defined mark. So this, and this line up with those three panel lines there. And, you know, actually, let's just tape this on. Temporarily, of course, not securing it permanently. Okay, so we taped on our template and really just, we're trying to match this edge perfectly because we want to cover what's underneath here, which is all this tape mess, right? So we're just doing this again, and pretty good here. Make this an aerodynamic, very smooth shape. Right, this is gonna be kind of hard to draw on because it's a three-dimensional surface. But try and match this. Right, something like that. And then the front here. Well, so that's the problem, which is this template isn't large enough. It's very finicky, so I'm just gonna tape on an extra piece here, just temporarily. This is really just getting more area here all we need is the shape, so we don't really care about if it's going to be a good template or not. Okay, and so some pieces like this can go because they're in the way, and can alright, so this needs to be a little bit more here. Right, and then this needs to come here and end in the center. Just kind of go down the middle like that. Okay, and then this goes down the middle, right? And where everything goes, really. Alright, this looks decent. And see, this is pretty complex, right? It's not very easy to do this, but it's a process, and I think you're gonna end up with a decent end product, even though this process is messy. It's kind of like that, and then trace this edge here to get a feel for that. All right, so we're gonna trim this based on this contour that we traced here. Is gonna be a pretty close match. Right, yeah, it's gonna be a pretty close match to what we need. This is some advanced surface modeling techniques. Right, something like that. And then we can trim off the back here a little bit, because we only taped in one location, thankfully. Makes it easy to modify and change these parts. Right, clean up that area right there, and then this back part doesn't need to be that big, but we can't make it exactly, you know, cut down the middle. In an ideal world, that would work, but we need to account for manufacturing differences and tolerance issues. So a little extra never hurts, and once we overlap everything and make it, you know, actually manufacture the part, it'll turn out a little bit better, I feel like. So it's really tailoring the fit is kind of a strategy here. Okay, and then so we can now cut down the middle here. We can go a little bit off as long as we're generally in line. Okay, that's decent. So we have a piece that wraps around here, right? And right, it wraps around the front like that. And what I need to do is trim this a little bit here. Okay, and then alright, so as you can see, this is a very smooth piece that covers up all the panel lines. And I think it looks really great, actually. Now it's just a matter of finalizing that shape. Really giving it a proper final assembly here. So before I do that, I'm going to just very lightly secure this front area here. And that is meant to be temporary, right? The intention here is to really get a tighter, better fit with the nose here. Right down the middle. Okay, and then that's pretty much it. Right, that's the half panel prototype. Okay, and then now we'll just take this off and untape this bit right here. I just reinforce some of these marks here. These are the 3 panel lines that we need to match up with. Ooh, that was unintentional. I also did something else after last week's stream, which might be interesting to you guys. I'm just gonna take this around, it doesn't matter. I used a clip, kind of like this, to, and then I used 2 popsicle sticks, you know, sandwiched in between, like that. But essentially what I did was I put 2 popsicle sticks on the vertical tail here, and then I clipped it like that. And I let it sit for several days. And the result is a thinner, it's still a little bit bulky, but it's a lot thinner now. You know, the tail isn't so airfoil-like anymore. So, you know, that's a small thing that I forgot to mention in the beginning here. But okay, this should be good, and essentially what we're trying to do now is transfer this over to an official cardstock material, so that we can make the final part. Or we could actually just make another template and see how it fits, but I think it works pretty decent. Just need to finalize it now. So I'm going to need a new piece of cardstock for this. It looks like I was starting a project here, but I didn't really use the rest of this, so I might as well just use it now. Right, so we're just copying this shape onto cardstock. Now that I think about it, I should have done the canopy in white, give it some contrast. But not too late for that now. It's already gray. I mean, we could paint it, but I don't really have paint, so we're not gonna do that. Okay, so this looks decent. It's shifting a little bit. It's unfortunate. Looks decent, and then we're just gonna have to duplicate that pattern on the other side here. This This might be another prototype, to be honest. I don't know if it'll fit because printer paper has slightly different properties than cardstock, so you need to do a fit prototype sometimes just to test out, you know, what the actual material part is going to behave like, you know. So it comes in stages, I guess. So this isn't perfect, but oh well. It's what we got. This is, I'm gonna mark this as left side, L side, I don't know, like a nose cover. Really, the function of this piece is to smooth out the surface underneath, create a uniform texture. Not only does it look good, but it also reduces drag if you do it right. I know, like, on this scale that we're dealing with, it's not a lot of drag, but it's it'll look better, which is what I aim to do. Okay, looks decent. I'm not gonna bother cutting this in one go. I'm just gonna trim directly across here, make my job a little bit easier. I don't have to hold the rest of the paper. There we go. Just gonna cut along this profile here. Now ideally, this is gonna fit pretty nicely, but I have a feeling it won't because the canopy isn't perfectly symmetrical. Right, it's handcrafted, but we're gonna try our best to fit it in. This is really just a matter of patience. Absolute focus. Alright, so we cut out our part, and now we can see. You see this mess? We don't want to look at that, so we're just gonna cover it up. And now it looks a lot cleaner, which is nice. That's great. That's kind of what we're aiming for. But before I do the final assembly here, I'm going to trace on, or not trace necessarily, I'm just gonna mark out where the 3 panel lines are. Just very, very subtly, so that we have like a method to line up the final piece here. Alright, so this needs a little bit of pre-bending. So this is a step that you might want to do if you have like pretty curved surfaces. You just want to bend it a little bit beforehand to allow it to fit a little tighter against a part like that. So this is like pretty advanced stuff, so I will not I will not be upset if you guys don't understand, but it's what I'm gonna be doing. So this it's right here. Right, and we don't want to start on the other side, we want to start on this side, because this is where we marked out the contour. And really, all you have to do is match up this contour first. You want to prioritize that. You just kind of pinch it in a little bit, and then take a piece of tape and really just, how do I want to do this? We don't want it to be too ugly. Interesting. Alright, maybe we don't need such a large piece. Yeah, we can cut this down a little bit. Okay, it's a pretty thin strip here, and then this back piece, you can use the other part to really secure in place. Ah, shit, right. It's struggling a little bit because it's very stiff. It's a stiff piece of material. This should work a little better. Cross like that. Alright, looks good. And this needs to fit in pretty tightly here. Looks like might need a little bit of a relief cut just to let this thing fold over onto itself. I'm not sure how I should do this. Should I cut forward swept? I think that would be the best idea here. Small, tight cut, but it should help. With getting the piece to fit. Alright, so as we tape, we can actually complete off sections of this. Or we can just do that maybe. Then, oh, it's not intentional. Cut the middle here. Smooth this out. Smooth out this outer portion here. Okay. Then we can take another strip here. You don't really need the full thing, so we can just cut it in half. And closely take this down. Which I'll fold over onto the other side here. think we might be able to just use this. No, maybe not. All right. Need the full width here for the front. This is the nose section here. It's gonna be kind of interesting. So straight sections to approximate the curve. This is going to help this piece fit. Very tightly against this. And then, just this out. Like that. And it looks good. Might need a little bit of work here for some finishing touches, but overall that looks decent. And I'm gonna just use a little bit here for the nose. Okay. Alright, and then we can just cut this off, trim it off. There we go. Okay, and this looks pretty good. Only thing I might want to do here is, really just make it fit and check the side profile here. Looks good. Just need to cover all the mess underneath. And once that's done, okay, so it's not an exact fit, which is to be expected. Whew, all right. Just want to do this. This is really a kind of sculptural process. It's not an exact thing. Okay. Cut that. we used a full section on the other side. Kind of anchor it in place, but testing out whether or not we could. Use half. Oh, it looks possible. It looks doable. So minor wrinkles on the bottom, but no big deal because we're gonna surface panel that as well. Okay, so this is not good. There's a chunk missing. There's like a little chunk missing there of tape, you know. Okay, looks good. Just trim operation here. I don't know if I want to make a nose cone. I probably have to make it durable, but who knows. Okay, and then we gotta start taking this piece right here. Okay. Trim this down the middle again. Alright, and then just going to try and match up this back portion here. Oh my god, alright, that was terrible. Alright, so that I think we might need to cut this again, right, just to be consistent. Forward swept cut right about there. Okay. Just a tiny cut to relieve some stress. Okay, looks good. And final piece in the back. I say final, but it's likely not the final piece. It's just there to hold things in place. Okay, looks good. We covered up all that mess. And I don't know. We could actually use white to cover the sides here. It'll be like a pretty quick process because we won't be covering the whole thing. We'll probably leave a stripe down the top. But this is looking good. This really reminds me of a Sukhoi kind of backing here. But maybe that'll be my next project. Who knows? This F-16 looks pretty good so far. Oh, this nose is incredibly stiff already. But I feel like we're gonna have to maybe do a little bit more when it comes time for that. Alright, so we have this now, right? So you just approximate in between. Actually, it's better to create another template for this. Just gonna do that. Right. It's gonna come up here. Okay. Kind of a rough shape, right? Just gonna see how this fits. It looks okay. Could use a little bit of help. Right, something like that. So we still have the previous template. Match up those 3 points right there. Get a shape like that. And then try and transfer that to another template here. Alright, actually, this needs to be marked at those 3 locations as well. It's by no means perfect. Okay. Match these up. Give it a little bit more here. A little more space to work with. Okay. Let's see how this fits. Okay, that works a lot better. It's a little bit going over the top. Need to extend this a little bit, maybe. just keep it 2D, pretty simple. Okay, let's just keep it simple for now. If we want, we can definitely just do 2 here, right, on each side, and then just cover the top when I feel like it. Right, you don't have to do it all in one go right now. See how it looks. Okay, so trace this out. Aiming to stop at 7:40, so we got like 40 minutes left. Okay, so we have another template here. Are we using printer paper directly? Yeah, I don't want to waste like another white sheet of cardstock. I don't think we need cardstock for this. This is like a detail job, it's not a structural piece. So we can get away with using printer paper. It's lighter too. It's lighter, it's more malleable, right? It's good for detail pieces like the canopy. Okay. Then we're just gonna take an eraser just to erase off some of these pencil lines that we used to mark out the shape. Okay, I'm just gonna do a quick symmetry check. Erase some more marks here. It's pretty close. Yeah, it's almost exact. Alright, that's good enough. And now okay, so just need something like this. Line it up. Gosh. Well, I guess it doesn't matter which side we start on, but it'd be nice to start on this side. Alright, there we go. Then try and match as much of this contour as we can. Okay, actually, let's just put this tape down on this piece. This. Lift it up. And then, since it's already on, now we can do it with ease. So trim off some excess here. Okay, it looks decent. Now, just do a quick trim here. Quick trim here. Trim. right on where the seams are. And this will allow it to kind of curve over onto itself a little better. This is taking a long time. But it's gonna look nice, so I think it's worth it. I'm gonna check the comments real quick. I like the side panels. Thanks, man. Benjamin Rogers. That was from 40 something minutes ago. I apologize. I don't read the comments that often. Thanks. I appreciate that. So, bit by bit. Perhaps I should have made another cut sooner. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this in half. I still have some scraps over there to my left, so I might use those as well. This, you know, just half on, half off, same as before. So, the trade-off here is a couple of wrinkles, but you know, it looks better than a full-length wrinkle or a crease or, you know, edge, whatever you want to call it. So that's kind of the trade-off that we're accepting here, right? Because you can never really win unless you spend a lot of money and get like a CNC machine and make like a metal mold and then just wrap the mold in whatever and then, you know, extract the mold and you have a perfect shape. But I don't have that kind of money, at least not yet. So here we are with paper and materials that we have to our disposal. So this looks okay. Alright, this looks much better. I might want to add like a detail panel line of some sort, you know, just accentuate that canopy structure. But I don't know if I should do that now. I'm definitely gonna have to cover this with tape to make sure it's, you know, resistant to the elements, so to speak. Might also have to do a strip down the middle now because this inner edge is pretty rough. So, see, it's like, it's all about covering up your errors, right? That's kind of this, you know, strategy in a nutshell, is just covering up your errors one by one, slowly but surely. Alright, so we have the other piece here, thankfully. There's not too many marks on it. So what we can do is the same procedure that we did for the other side. Just grab a piece, cut it in half. Okay, and then lie it flat here. Just really just tape take this on. Doesn't have to be perfect. This plane isn't perfect. Okay, and then, you know, just try and start in the general vicinity and match the contour. Looks good. And then comes the fun part of struggling to attach this. How do I do it? Did I cut it in half? Oh, I need a smaller piece like this. And then really just closely follow the shape. Just tape it down. Right, so a little bit there, and a little bit here, and that'll complete the structure. And then comes the tedious part of cutting some slots here. Slot here. This isn't a precise process by all means, by any means, but we have that, and now we can begin the process of closing it up down the middle. Oh my god. Just taped onto itself. Alright. Problem solved. Oh, I had another strip there. Damn, alright. Let me just use that other strip real quick to fix the back here. It's gonna be, we don't really need the whole thing, we just need a little bit. This is why it's so nice to have like decent scissors. Right, you wanna get one with like this little knob back here. It helps you grab and just work easier with a little bit of reinforcement there. Okay, just a little tiny bit here. And smooths out to the back, right? And then I just like take this long skinny piece, and try and cut lengths that are appropriate for each segment. Start in the back, start in the front, doesn't matter. You start somewhere. That's not the middle, of course. You don't want to start in the middle, because that'll mess things up. Alright, so here we go. Just a little tab right there. And just, oh, okay, my finger slipped. Tightly wrap this in towards the top and then secure it down. So if you do it right, these tape pieces should hold a little bit of tension, and that's good because it keeps the whole thing tight. This might be a little bit off on a tangent here, but when I learned drawing as a kid, when I drew people and animals and things like that, like did realistic sketches, there was a saying that muscles in tension look, I guess, more beautiful, right? They're more contoured than just a regular lax piece of flesh, right? That might sound a little bit nasty or gross, but it's kind of a thing that we notice as people. It's that when you're in tension, your muscle groups are in tension, they look a little bit more I guess, aesthetically appealing. Okay, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. Now we just need to strip down the middle, and we should be done with the canopy. Finally. It only took like 3 streams to complete this thing, but no matter. I'm learning new things, and hopefully you are too. But yeah, I just going off on a tangent about how tension creates beautiful things, and you can see it here. The panels are pulled in different directions, but they're all secured, and there's tension in kind of how the the cardstock material forms around this, right? Earlier in the stream, we talked about the base structure panels, the ones underneath this white layer here. They were attached using a very long piece of tape that compressed it in on this side, right? It really pushed in here, and they were pulled in tension on the other side and then secured down here. You can actually see some of this tape, right, going off onto the wing here a little bit. But this was done to exert a force, a sort of pretension in the structure, so that it stays relatively narrow and thin, right? Because otherwise this piece, because we're bending around such a tight curvature, it wants to fly out, but like it wants to unfold itself to be flat like this, but we're trying to bend it in place. So to counter that tendency of trying to pop back out, we have to exert a pretty strong force through a kind of tape harness of sorts. Whoops, sorry about that. That you attach here, and then you bring it over here, you place it on the side here, and then you pull it really tight, and then tape it down here, and that keeps it secure in this nice, very tight configuration. So it's a small detail, but hopefully you learn something out of that, gain something out of that. I kind of just made that up on the spot as well. But you can tell it actually works pretty decent. You can see the contours and everything in the structure here, so it's pretty decent. I might use this technique in the future as well to make, I don't know, a Sukhoi, because this actually reminds me a lot of the SU series of planes, the SU like 30 or something like that, where you have an arched back like this. So who knows, that might be a next project. I might take a break from doing realistic planes for a bit, go back to original designs, because they definitely aren't this involved, right? Because most of the time, actually all of the time, they don't have canopies, so that makes my job like a lot easier. We could have cut the build short by like 3 streams, but here we are. We're just vibing, I guess, just chilling, making some planes that are pretty realistic. This is like probably the most realistic plane, I want to say, that I have ever done, right? Like if you look back on my channel, I don't think I've ever done an F-16, but this is this is the first time I'm doing an F-16, and it's just wow. It's taken a long ass time. I'm sorry for cursing there, but it is taking a long time, so just bear with me here. We're almost done, right? By almost, I mean like maybe like 2 or 3 more builds. I don't want to make any promises, unfortunately, at this time, so I'm just gonna say 3 or 4 builds. Or did I say 2 or 3? I'm not sure. My memory isn't that great. But yeah, I hope to finish this in 3 or 4 builds, because we still, when we think about it, we still have the entire underside of this plane left to really conquer. It's mostly an intake, but the nose actually has a little bit of a 3D structure like this as well. It's very slight, so maybe that'll go faster, but it's still there. And then I need to figure out a way to integrate the inlet, which just hangs off here and then just goes all the way back. Should be a pretty straightforward design, but I also want to make it look decent, right? And then we have the 2 ventral fins back here on the F-16, that, you know, that makes it characteristic. And then we also have the engine nozzle in the back that we want to make pretty decent, because right now it's kind of a mess back here. So we got to finish that up eventually. But um, yeah, we're at 7:15. I have like 25 more minutes to go, because I don't want to do the full 2 hours because YouTube decided to stop at like half an hour into my first stream. Hopefully it doesn't happen again right now, but you know, I'm just praying at this point. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I just really want to make like a great F-16, right? Hopefully this thing flies. If it doesn't fly, well, at least I'll have like a decent looking model, right? This is kind of a bad piece right here, but I'm gonna try and work with it. Just gonna fold one edge onto the other for symmetry, right? This is mostly just a template for now. We can adjust as necessary. This is, oh god, I don't know if this is enough. Alright, this is going to be very, very questionable. I didn't measure anything, so if this works, I will be very surprised. But okay, it covers it. It's just alright, yeah, it does cover it. It's just not that elegant. It'll be a work in progress. Okay, so let me just try this. Oh shoot, forgot. Gotta fold it back in half for symmetry. Never forget, the power of symmetry is very powerful. Wow, that was redundant. Anyway, should be good like this, something like that. Oh, alright. That's pretty good. Could be a little thinner, to be honest. Doesn't need to be so thick. Okay, slight modifications. This shape is a little bit more organic, looks a little less dumb, right? Because you have straight edges on the top. It's gonna look a little bit dumb. And I know this is like not very scientific, but whatever. Alright, just gotta lower this camera a little bit. Notice where I am marking places to cut here, and cut here. Need to let it match the contour really tightly. So I'm gonna cut halfway up. This is really gonna let it be more flexible. Now, even though printer paper is already pretty flexible, these cuts relieve a lot of stress in each fold, so it allows you to get a tighter more compliant curved surface. All right. So these marks aren't too obvious, so I'm not gonna bother trying to erase it because this is a small part. If I try to erase it, I might wrinkle the whole part or destroy it, which is not ideal. So we're going to just use this as is. So there's a tiny gap, but I'm gonna be lenient here. I'll be quite accepting of it. Just need a tab here. I'm out of hands. Okay, there we go. And then now I have a free hand. Take this down in place. All right, and then once the first one's down, that is easy. Because this is a very thin part, we're able to actually just tape down like that across the middle. Do I have any more scrap? Nope. It's like, no. Okay, this might be a week old. No, I don't want to use that. Okay, so this looks okay. This looks decent, and then you just cut it down the middle. And really the hard part is over. The hard part was really just lofting everything and having the patience to do that. And then once that's done, you can surface model the heck out of this thing and it'll look great. Okay, looks great. And then the second piece right here, just to really cover everything. Also, you notice the side pieces of tape here are going to help cover this paper surface, so it'll help make it a little bit more resilient to weathering and damage. So each piece of tape like this gets split down the middle, and then half goes on the back side, half goes on the front side. They might overlap, but that creates like a very tight fit, rather than, you know, brute forcing this giant piece of tape to you know, form over this curved surface. We're breaking it up into chunks here, which helps with the curvature. You can really, you know, you can really notice that you can apply a ton of tension and you know, really force it to match the shape underneath. And looks pretty good. Sorry, it's overexposed a little bit because it's very bright. Let me just block this light out a little bit. There we go. You can see. Oh, it's not very good. But you can trust me. I will eventually make a video, so you will eventually see it. But it's creating a decent result. You just put it on like this and tightly bound it, and then this front bit, you just gotta tape that down, and then we're done with the canopy. It only took 3 or 4 streams to finish this canopy, but whatever. It is what it is. It looks great now. So alright, I'm going to move this tape dispenser. I'm going to make it symmetric down the middle. Then we can just see, look, you just apply it at the base and then align everything, and then apply a shit ton of force. Make it super tight against the structure underneath. And that should be good. And then you do the same again for the front half of each panel. right, we have a canopy and it looks decent. All right, this back is not great. It's not perfect, but granted, this looks a lot better than before. Wow. It's so freaking bright in the camera in the live stream. I'm sorry for that. But you can trust me, it looks pretty good. You know, this, I think this white color adds a little bit of contrast and makes it pop out a little better from the rest of the plane, and really accentuates the curves of this canopy. But yeah, wow, this only took like a long time. All right, so I don't know, maybe I should just stop here, because the plan for the next step is really just to work on the bottom here, which is going to be a whole adventure in and of itself. We only just finished the top, so excited to see what's going to happen on the bottom. But maybe before we do that, we can take a scrap piece here, create another connecting piece, you know, just to cover up this pretty obvious seam right here. And then that is going to help this part transition into the back here. I don't know if that's worth it, but we have a piece that we could work with right now. This kind of looks like a bomb of some sort, but we can modify this to fit here, cover up some of this panel line stuff. I don't know, because right now this seam is pretty obvious. I don't think it has to be a huge part. It just needs to cover this. I'm going to prototype another part here. We got 15 minutes, so might as well before I end this week's stream. Just a straight panel connecting that front portion here all the way to maybe the the root of the tail. Yeah, this tail is absolutely massive on the F-16, so it's I know it looked slightly out of proportion, but I think it's mostly good for what it is. Yeah, this canopy looks wow. It's such a characteristic part of the F-16. I just had to get it right, you know. All right, let's see what we need for this. I think a shape that, no, actually, let's just fold this in half, because why not? Makes our template making easier. And, okay, so we just need like a little bit here, like a little notch, right? And then just come back here. It can be curved a little bit too. It doesn't have to be straight, right? Because these are mostly for aesthetic purposes, so you don't need to, I guess, care too much about the straightness or curvedness of the part. All right, so I just drew out a prototype, right? Just cut it like that. Okay, so this is going to be the prototype panel here, right? This little notch is going to cover, oh, oops, I think I have it reversed. There we go. Is that better? Yeah. All right, so this clearly needs to end a lot earlier than we expected. Okay, maybe it goes the other way. Yeah, alright, this works a lot better. Alright. I'm not gonna use white, obviously. I'm going to use cardstock. I just needed to get a general idea of the shape before I start cutting into the cardstock. This will help cover a lot of this messed up stuff right here. Messed up area. Hopefully turns out pretty smooth. There's no guarantee. I'm sad to use this actually. Let's see if there's another piece of scrap. Nope, let's just use this. Fuck it. Alright, so pretty similar shape like that. Okay, this is workable. It's very faint. You might not be able to see it, but I can see it, so it's really all that matters. Oop. All right, there we go. And just go like this. Whee! Alright. Sorry for that sound effect. I need to amuse myself, or else I'm gonna get bored. Alright, looks good. And then you just fit it on and call it a day. This might require full-length pieces of tape. It's gonna be a little bit involved. It's gonna be a pretty stiff piece right here. Yep, that is very stiff. Then you just want to work your way back. I guess this might need a little bit of a cut here to relieve some stress from the curvature. I'm going to cut it on the other side as well. Okay, looks good. And just do full length here. Save some time. I'm gonna do a full length side panel here, or side tape piece. The same for the other side. Whoops. Not go down yet. There we go. And then let's just force this down tightly. careful not to damage the mechanism on the inside too much, but that was decent. Gives it a more structured look. It accents the back a little bit better. Yeah, that's pretty much it for now. I guess we still have like 7 minutes. I do want to add the little lines in the front here. To do that, I am going to use tape. Then I'm going to test this idea out here, but really this is applicable to actually this is a little bit too small. I need a large piece here, like that. But I've been thinking about using this method to apply the decal, the vertical stabilizer. So right now it's blank. I would like it not to be blank because, you know, I gotta put my logo on there. So the method that I came up with is to actually just apply your artwork and whatnot to the actual tape, and then you tape it on. So it's like kind of a transfer process a little bit. So let me see, does this match here? This looks like this, and then, okay, maybe not. Alright, I guess it just gets another piece of tape for reinforcement here. I want to mark this really precisely, but I don't think there's a way to do that. I'm just gonna eyeball it. It's gonna be like 2/3 from the back. And then it goes, what, back like 30 degrees. Like that. And then there's another band here. And then we're just gonna connect it with the center here. And then, surprise, surprise, we can disassemble this. Well, we won't have to do this on the tail because it's a pretty straightforward surface, but for this piece, we definitely can. Okay, this might be a bad idea, actually. Again, I'm just testing out ideas, so there's no guarantee anything will work when I do these streams. Okay, so I just taped it onto itself. I just wasted a piece of tape, but we've got 5 minutes. All right, so it does give us a shape that we want to achieve, which is great because, we have another piece of tape. So if we can tape this piece of tape onto that piece of tape, then we can transfer the pattern. All right, before I do that, I'm going to place this on a white background so I can actually see. I'm gonna zoom in closer so you guys can see as well. But you see this is in between the two tape layers because I just drew something and then folded it in on itself. Or actually it's on the outside. But point is, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna darken it. Add a lot of graphite. Make sure you get a lot. And then, since it's transparent, we can do the same on the other side now. I just realized this is actually pretty clever. And then, you know what, we can do that. And then the fun part is, yeah, take another piece of tape. Really just start at the base here. There we go. Shit. Alright, I misaligned it. Damn it. Alright, but point is, you can transfer these patterns pretty nicely. Okay, this is a little bit annoying because I didn't expect it to misalign like this. It's quite the misalignment. All right, there we go, much better. And then, you can actually just rip this off at this point. You don't want to fold your other piece, right? See that? This is how you create graphene. Pretty cool, but anyways. Isn't the best way to create a decal. This is not the best way. But when you don't have a decal machine, this is really the only way you can do things. And we can definitely darken this after we tape it on. This goes like right here-ish, right here, and then it goes forward. So, slight detail, but it's hopefully it's good. It adds a little bit of character to the canopy instead of it being one giant white piece. Breaks it up a little bit, you know. It looks a little bit strange right now, but you'll get used to it. From a distance, it looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit dark, but it gives it that accent that it needs, you know, to break up this giant white piece of paper here. All right, so I got like a minute left, so I'm just gonna try and conclude everything here. Basically, what we did today was finish the entire top canopy. If you remember, there was still some bulkheads exposed. We covered that with a panel, right? We compressed it by using this idea of using tape to go on one side and then go on the other, and then really apply a lot of force to keep it compressed and, you know, so that the shape remains tight. And it looks pretty good right now. And then we, you know, built on top of that, right, with this unifying piece here to really cover up all of that mess that's underneath. So it looks like a solid piece right now, and it looks a lot better. And then after that, we did the two side panels with printer paper, right? So they're white printer paper pieces that we took some time to match up the shape with. And then we completed it by, you know, putting a piece down the middle to really cover up the seams a little bit better. And then we added a decal right here, right? Like kind of a canopy decal structure thing. And then we also placed a piece back here to really cover up some of the paneling kind of artifacts, right? So that pretty much covers what we did this week. In the next build, we are going to start the underside of the aircraft. We're going to try and model the nose first, and then the intakes, and then eventually we're going to get to the engine nozzle, and then that'll be the last thing that we do for this project. I don't think I'll do landing gear for this project this time, just because it's already quite complex and long. But hopefully in the next iteration I will be able to include those, you know, once I test out how to make landing gear and stuff. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and, you know, keep on working on your own projects, stay safe, and take care. See you guys next week.